exhibition will show. I think most of the artists here today are from the U.S., but in the exhibition itself there are 59 artists, and many of whom are from countries outside the United States, to include, but not limited to, Zimbabwe, New Zealand, Ireland, Kenya, and there are many others. I'm drawing a blank. Perhaps they'll come. Israel, Lebanon, Iran. Some of my memories come back. And I think actually several of them are in our rear gallery space. So today, the talks I really love because it allows us the opportunity to get in the mind of the artists, to really discover what it is that motivates and inspires them to do their work. And that is what I thrive and live for. So I'm going to first begin by just introducing each artist by name, and then each of the artists will present us with a 1-minute talk about their work. And then we're going to roll into an open discussion in which we dialogue about, again, what inspires them and other subjects within the exhibition. And then we'll open it up for Q&A so that you can ask them what it is that you'd like to know more about who they are as artists. So I'll begin with Leslie Clark, and the artists will present from their seats. Oh, you may stand when you present, but you don't have to go over to the monitor. Benjamin, you'll have to help me pronounce your last name.
Young Savage.
No, come on.
Yes.
That's not what it says.
That's really how you pronounce it.
Really?
Yeah, the J is pronounced as a Y.
Wow. Okay. Then we have. Sorry, are you serious?
I'm serious.
Oh,
I promise.
when you look at the way it's spelled, you'll know why I'm so surprised. So this is Marie Myrtis, Fernandez, Ricardo Garcia, Nina Watson-Baum, Jessica Damon, Gloria Askin, Ron Beverly, Ronald Jackson, Patrick Burns, Alicia Cunningham, and David Paulson. And that's good, because it's the first time I've worked with many of the artists that are here today. So Wesley, I'm going to allow you to begin with talking about your work.
All right. Hello, everyone. My work right here is these 3 boxes. Oh, sorry. Titled Open Season is the series title. Each of them is individually titled they're essentially little memorials for the slain black men and women that we've been hearing about killed lately. Lately, these are more, probably in the past 2 years. Whether it's, Michael Brown, Eric Gardner, some of these other people, that we've heard about in the news of late. And I'm in the process of, expanding. So far, there's 9 of them total, and the list is obviously just keep on growing, and I'm in the process of deciding just how, what will be the overall number for the pieces. But essentially, they're inspired about the Target series is something I've been working on for a while, based off of my life. Young black male feeling like a target out there in the world, and so that's where the origin of the work is from.
Thank you. I failed to realize we should be doing this in alphabetical order, so I'm going to go back to Gloria, and not the way you're seated.
I better stand up. Or maybe I should say, I am sitting. I am Gloria Askin, and my work is in the kitchen, just under Maria Teresa's, and it's about flowers. It's about happiness. I don't have a huge ecological, philosophical message. There's so much misery in the world today. I want to bring people happiness. I want them to look at my work and say,
Nina Buxenfeld. I am originally from Brooklyn, New York. My work is based on the topsy-turvy doll, which is a white cinnamon bell on one side, you turn the dress over, and it will have a black mammy on the other side. And I use it as a metaphor to talk about myself being biracial. My mother is African American from New Orleans, Louisiana. My father is Jewish. And the confusion that happens when people meet me and they hear my name and then see the work that I make. But also it really represents for me the diversity and the fluidity of identity in American culture, because we are so influenced by each other and by the mixture of cultures in the United States. So.
Hi, my name is David Carlson, and I'm an artist from Arlington, Virginia, and the image is from one of the video pieces. I'm in the back room, and it's a 4-channel video installation, Blu-ray. And what I do is I'll go shoot water in the Adirondack Park, and then I bring it in through the video to isolate water so people really look directly at water with no other influences, kind of combining the consciousness of the water with the consciousness of the audience.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Alicia Cunningham, and I'm a photographer. I have 3 of my portraits here, and I'm an artist as well. So the 3 you see here are from a series from my book, Feminine Transitions. So what I did is I captured portraits of females, thank you, at different ages from 7 weeks to 103, and they're all unaltered portraits. So I wanted to do something that didn't include Photoshop, just celebrate the natural beauty. The natural beauty of women. So the requirement was they have to be bare, no weaves, no makeup, no accessories, and they have to they look as if they're naked, but they're just, from the collarbone down. So just bare, just celebrate natural beauty. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jessica Damon, and my painting, it is rumored, Bloody Point, is behind you. It's the scroll that's in the window. And actually that painting is inspired by a real place in the Chesapeake Bay called Bloody Point, which is kind of an ironic name for the place because it's kind of a safe area in the Chesapeake Bay. It also happens to be one of the places that has one of the deepest areas in the bay. It's 120 feet deep. And when my husband and I went sailing there, I kind of wondered, why does it have a name like that? So the name really comes from things that are both in the historical record and also rumored. And it was one of the places where boats that were after the Middle Passage would go either to Annapolis or to St. Michael's or to Baltimore. And it may have been one of the places where those Africans who did not make through the Middle Passage were disposed of. So, I mean, I really felt that there had to be some kind of statement about that. Even if it were just a rumor, it's undoubtable that a lot of misery happened through that area. Also, the whole concept of having a scroll and having the American eagle on the top is all part of the theme of this piece, which is ironic. On many ways, the American eagle was a great land of opportunity for certain type of people, but also a land of misery for others. And the other part of the mystery about this area is that there were, in fact, some massacres there, several murders. It is a land of opportunity if you're in the right kind of group. So, and otherwise it isn't. And I think one of the other reasons why I did it is 2 pieces of paper. They're papers from that are transparent. Is I wanted people to think about these narratives and how they change over time and how they can be obscured by time. And the fact that in a breeze, the piece moves in a circle, so that's also part of the concept behind the painting. Thank you.
My name is Maria Teresa Fernandez, and I'm from Kenya. I was born there, and then I just moved back to Baltimore from England. me it's new because it's my first piece with felting and then printing on it. So the technical ability is quite important because it's how I want to sing, and if that is not, working as a balance between your concept and what you have to say. So it's just, continual struggle, but that's my new piece and I'm still experimenting with.
Hi, my name is Ricardo Garcia, and my work builds on the legacy of the visual legacy of pop art, communicate ideas of a bicultural experience, and I work with acrylics. And besides the obvious inspiration, I'm also inspired by big band, Hollywood musical, and jazz music in the work. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Ronald Jackson. I'm out of Fredericksburg, Maryland. I am mostly a figurative artist. I'm a self-taught artist, and part of my artistic struggle or whatever is that pretty much is the instructor doesn't know any more than the student. That's me as being a self-taught artist. But this painting, Prophet in the Garden, is inspired by the Irish painter and illustrator John Byrne, not to get confused with the American illustrator John Byrne, but basically I am very visually moved by figurative words. And with John Byrne's piece that inspired this piece, a black African figure took up most of the whole space of the canvas. So I thought that I had a square canvas. Let me try to fold a figure that I can get him within the whole space of the canvas. And what it's about is basically about seeing. And prophets were also called seers. So it's basically about finding or seeing worth and value and insignificant things or things that could be easily overlooked, such as a flower. And I like pattern in my work, so that's why there are random implementations of pattern and influenced by fine art and illustration. Thank you.
My name is Benjamin Young Savage. I'm actually living in West Baltimore, but I'm originally from northern Quebec. I grew up on a Native American reservation there. My work is on the wall here on the corner. I'm a vector artist, which is a new form, not always considered art, which is difficult sometimes. But I come from a graphic design background. I've been running a graphic design company for a number of years now, and my wife convinced me that I needed a hobby and suggested I try art. The series is actually a 30-piece series, and you'll see 3 of them here. What I did was I asked people to give me quotes that inspired them. I wanted to do artwork that was inspirational to people, and so I asked people to send me things that were inspiring and moving to them, whatever got them through their days, whatever got them through their difficult times. And I would then take those quotes, I would research them, go through libraries and archives to figure out why they said what they said, when they said what they said, who they were talking to. A lot of background research to make sure that the person who I was associating with the quote actually said the piece. I then started drawing, and then colored the pieces on the computer, and then print them on canvas. They're limited editions. Because they're digital, there's a lot of, you can make as many as you want. I chose to limit my pieces to only 10 each, and then once they're done, they're done. I don't make any more of that particular one. And that's my art.
to the group discussion. And I've come up with just a few questions because I wanted this to be a very organic conversation about your work. But one of the things that I'm curious about as the owner of the gallery and curator of the exhibition is why you decided to respond to the call to artists.
Well, I thought it was interesting because I'm always looking for opportunities to submit my work to see what is going on in the medium of photography, which is what I am. Given the digital technology, what photography is under fire with, and the validity of this art form, I'm always curious to see how it still stacks up when it's being submitted amongst other artworks. So that was my motivation.
Anyone else?
Just as a young, unrepresented artist, you don't really get that many opportunities to have people see your work. And so, you kind of scour the internet looking for, just anybody just to take a peek at it. And, every now and then you'll stumble upon an opening such as this. And, you just feel very blessed when you get accepted and everything like that.
Alex, our cameraman, has asked when you're responding to questions if you could stand up, especially as to the back.
Well, much like my fellow artists, I'm a young artist, and I'm trying to get my work viewed in D.C. and Virginia and now Baltimore. So I responded to the call for exposure. But at first I had my trepidations about it because it's international is the title. And I had to read the application like at least 3 or 4 times, and I could hear Myrtis' voice in the language saying, it's okay because it's international heritage as well. And I thought, then I gave myself permission and said my work is perfect for the show. And I was really glad to be accepted. But you always walk into a situation with a degree of confidence, and you're rewarded by that.
Thanks. I responded because after a few rejections, and I was trying to relocate back to Baltimore, so it was really refreshing when I got in, and I was really excited. And thank you very much, because I think you're doing a great job.
Well, for our audience who may not know how this exhibition came about, Alex and I actually jointly selected 4 jurors and asked their help in spreading the word across the globe about our desire to recognize emerging to mid-career artists. So many, and we wish we were able to accommodate more, but there are so many great artists out there that here in our Baltimore location we're not privy to, we're not exposed to. And after a trip to Frieze in London, which is a huge international fair in London, we came back inspired. While there, we met 2 individuals who actually ended up being our jurors. One is Robert Devereaux, who was a former partner in Virgin, when Virgin was the music store. Of course, he's a very wealthy gentleman and has become a philanthropist and a very, very serious and major art collector. And meeting him and spending a little time with him, we stayed connected, and he agreed to juror our exhibition. He has started a foundation that funds nonprofit arts organizations in Africa that support artists. The other juror is Mugati, Mogusati. I always butcher her last name, I'm sorry about it. She is on the board of the Bag Factory, a artist in residency program in South Africa that is supposed to be amazing and provide great and wonderful experiences for artists. And Zoe is shaking her head. She may have even been there, but we do have a mutual friend who went there, participated in it, and has not gotten us Pamela. So the 2 of them agreed to juror the show, and then Sharon Burton, who is the jurors in the back, is one of my mentees, and we've known each other for several years, and she has her own arts advisory company and has really grown that, and so we've stayed very connected to one another. She's one of several women in the arts that I've mentored over the years, and she agreed, and I knew that her voice would play an important role in the selection process Contemporary Museum here in Baltimore is also one of our jurors. So we had a stellar group of jurors, each of whom took the responsibility of selecting the artist very, very seriously. And as a matter of fact, Robert Devereaux wrote to say, I'm taking this very seriously. I will not lend myself to anything that isn't stellar and professional, and so I'm going to be scrutinizing this work very carefully. And I responded to him and I said, we would expect nothing less. And so again, I say to the artists, know that the responsibility of the jurors was not taken lightly, and that you are to be honored, and you all have been recognized by top people in this field who have validated you. And sometimes artists do need that, we say we don't. And it's not egotistical, it's just that the competition, because there are so many great artists out there, is great. And it's wonderful to get a nod by people who really love and appreciate art and say, yes, come aboard, and so that we can honor the creative genius. So let's take it a step further now and get into your psyche. So my question was, do you believe? But I also should say, if you believe your artwork to be a testimony to your identity, what is it saying? Yes, please.
I said that my work was about happiness and about beauty. I am also self-taught, and I did not begin this work until I was 70. So I have only been doing this for a few years. To be accepted in a show like this is a stunning adventure, and I'm really, really excited about it. I think what it says is you've got to get up every day, and you just have to keep going. I never, ever in my life expected to be here. I did not think about becoming an artist. I was many other things. I was a teacher, travel agent, a mother. I was all kinds of things. And to find myself here is a big surprise. I just kept going for many reasons. There were many doors. There were doors that closed and there were doors that opened, but you do have to keep going. Yes.
I would say this work is definitely of many, over the course of my career thus far, the Target series is probably the most relevant, most personal work I've done thus far, because I'm at the age where I'm able to now reflect back on my life a lot more. And it all stemmed from a song by Kendrick Lamar where he says, hoping to see 21. And when I heard that hook, I remember instantly the hope that I had in high school to see the age of 21. And I thought, what a terrible goal. Like, just to be able to see the age of 21. That should be a given practically, right? But it's not. And that began to make me think about just the psyche, my own thinking, like when I'm out in the world and how I feel, and the whole just idea of being a target that it surrounds. And so I'd say more than anything else, this work definitely speaks more to a personal side of me and an issue that even since doing the work and beginning it, I've begun to analyze it even more and think about the psyche of others and, other young black males and females out here, and, then begin to think about the hip-hop generation where a lot of it is young black males rapping, etc. And, that's spreading to the world. But all of these, we all have the same issue on our psyche, you know what I mean, where my father had it, I had it. Wondering and diving into at what age does it come upon us? Do you realize that you're being looked at, you're being aimed at in some form or fashion? So.
My work is something that I needed, that I created to start doing that and try to enter the art field again, because I had all of this baggage from all of the stuff I had dealt with in the past. And so when I started creating pieces based on quotes, I found that the quotes were speaking to me as I was drawing. Pearl Bailey's pieces here, you never find yourself until you face the truth. There's another piece that was originally accepted by the show, but actually sold out before the show began, and it was a Nelson Mandela piece, which read, "It always seems impossible until it's done." And that kind of message was very, very important to me, because honestly, standing in front of you all here, I'm terrified. I don't know anything about the art world. I know a lot about the graphic design world. I know a lot, the technical aspect of how to move a piece of type and make it look visually appealing so that the message gets carried through. Sitting down and creating something just to create it is something that's foreign to me and difficult. And to be accepted in a show like this, it's blown my mind. I don't have words for it. So I want to thank you all for coming.
Hi. So my work comes around from my own exploration of identity. So it's basically about how multifaceted identity can be. And I think when I approach the work, I look for women who are, in some ways, I feel connected to. They're usually other artists or family members. And I find a way to put the figures together as a way to talk about my personal experience, where I feel like, as a woman who's Black identified but not immediately identifiable as African American, that has been a challenge. When I originally started making my work, I often got asked the question, well, why are you painting Black people? And I answered, well, why do you paint white people? That's your experience, that's your culture, those are your family members, and that's the same reason why I paint the people I paint. I want to see those faces reflected in the art world. I want to see those faces in canvas. And that was something I missed growing up, going to museums and seeing these really beautiful, amazing paintings, but not with the people that I reflect, or that I identified with most, being reflected in those paintings. So for me, when I make the work, I think of it as almost self-portraiture, even when it's not my face. But also, I hope that it becomes more universal, because I think we all have the experience of people judging us based on our outward experience or our outward appearance, but not necessarily understanding what is that internal self, what is the part of us that is unseen. And I think we all universally have that experience. So I hope people see that in the work.
I'm going to go to David.
Hi. As an artist, as a human being, I'm a pretty complex guy. And I think with the complexity, the complication of being human, the videos that I chose to enter in this exhibition all deal with the simple element, water, H2O. And if you get a chance to look at them, there's 4 videos, and you'll see, and it's all straight shot. I didn't touch it with any filters or anything, so you'll see the beautiful complexity of such a simple thing. There's a question I always like to ask my students and any Buddhist teacher when they're in town: who are you? And when I think you really start asking that question, it never ends. And I found with the water, in particular, it was just great, because as a contemplative, I just like to sit with things. And don't try to analyze it and figure it out. See, as an artist, I feel that's really my role. What does the artist bring to the world? And when I looked at the water, it wasn't a matter of, can I drink it, can I float a boat, can I swim, can I splash, can I shower, can I flush the toilet? None of those questions. What's the simple essence of water? And I think what the videos can do is they can give us, who are terribly busy people, a chance just to look at water and to start to respond just to that, quite simply, without trying to fix it. The water's already there. It already knows what it's to do. And so it's a meditative process. It's a meditative process in making the work, and it's a meditative process in watching the work. So I hope you enjoy it.
I actually love videos because during the day the videos are running as we anticipate the shapes mimic the geometric patterns and shapes in your work. David's an extraordinary painter as well, most of his abstract. So yeah, the videos are very beautiful, but they really just, they connect with your work in a very strong and compelling way. So you can look at some of his work on the website. It's not in the show, but we chose to highlight his videos because they resonated in a way that was just very different from the other videos, and they brought a fresh, new dynamic and element to the exhibition.
So I wanted to say that my work is deeply personal because these are all products from my childhood when I was growing up. So there's almost like I'm taking a trip backwards in time. I listen to Cuban music from the time, from the late 60s, early 50s, which is that Cuban big band music and the salsa. And I feel transported. It's also been a process as I paint these products and I adjust the labels and adjust the look of the pieces. They start off like a commercial piece, but then they get transformed into a message that kind of allows me to understand where I came from and where I'm going culturally, being that I'm Cuban and I'm also American. So they're very personal, transformative. They help me understand my family as well and where they came from. Thank you.
Yes, so I believe that I am a reflection of my artwork. I believe that I create what I am. So I grew up in a household, my parents are from the Caribbean originally, and my father was very adamant about being natural, always promoting natural beauty, telling me that I was beautiful just as I am. I want to tell my mother that as well. And I wanted to create something that I felt kind of going against really what we're learning in society. So I go and do talks to schools, to children in particular, because they don't realize that what they see on the media, whether it's on magazines or whatever the case is photoshopped. And I wanted to create something because I am, not that I'm against makeup, but I choose not to wear makeup. Neither do I choose to put any pieces in my hair. That's just my personal preference. And I just wanted to do something that my children also can look at, and other kids can look at, and see something that is, that's just to really see the truth, to see honesty. So that's what I created.
The question is about identity and whether this particular work and my identity are linked. I've gotten to an age where I've done a whole lot of self-exploration, but I think a lot of this piece of work is really about how the history, use that term, we can also use herstory, or the stories influence who we are in this very present time and place. And I really feel very strongly that we can never really understand ourselves unless we really think about the past and how the past has influenced us in this very time and place. And that was one of the strongest motivating factors in my creating the piece, It Is Rumored.
Obviously my work deals with the American experience, and I come from like a generations back military family, so I have a unique understanding of that type of sacrifice. But I grew up in Harpers Ferry, West Virginia, and I think that area is a very, the threshold of North and South, and so you get a very unique perspective from both sides, and because of that, I can kind of look at different issues and look at social issues and try to, show that in my work. And I don't try to necessarily make statements with it, but I do try to be a narrator and say, these great things did happen, but this also happened, and I just, would like the opportunity to show both sides.
I would say that my work has been it has caused self-discovery and within myself, because a lot of my works are start without having probably about 50% of the work. I don't know where it's going to come from, but I'm excited about the initial inspiration, and I go for it. And I tend to stop and hang my work and look at it and start on something else, and I probably spend as much time just staring and trying to figure out my work. And a few shows that I've had, I've sat back and start to see a consistency among my pieces, which I didn't plan or have a certain understanding, a certain direction. And I start asking myself, why do I put my characters in a time of the past? Or what is it, why do I choose to do this or do that? And I start answering questions about something that has not become apparent to myself. So it's a self-discovery of certain things that I value, and I'm learning them myself through just observing my own work.
So is the prophet a self-portrait?
No, well, not directly.
It looks like you.
No, and that's been asked about some other pieces which I don't think look like me. But there's something I share in the value of recognizing those that are insignificant or can be easily overlooked. So that's the identity.
So, in terms of how I connect with my work, it basically comes from my sense of being a craftsman. I've been trained as a photographer for over 30 years. I was schooled in the darkroom. I worked with 4x5 camera, process printing, and presented all my work. So when the digital technology came around, I had to make a transition. And what I've locked into after all these many years is transition is important. Whether you're transitioning in identity or you're transitioning in other facets of life, it was a transition I was dealing with over the past 30 years. So in terms of personality, I guess I can equate my work with being precise, being a little overthinker, being methodical about what I do, because my training forced me to do that with the large format equipment. And so my exploration with the digital is my boundary as to just how far I would push my training from the darkroom and including the digital technology. And since I teach, I had to deal with it because this is what students want to know. There's a whole other conversation about how that works. But the idea of as far as an artist, how far would I take it in terms of the manipulation and still maintain the integrity of photography, either in visual terms or approach of philosophical terms in terms of my background.
So we don't have time for Q&A, but I thought we were going to take a moment. So does anyone have any questions? We ran over a little bit.
Just have to say
Yes.
about the identity, because sometimes I don't know, what's identity, especially if it's changing over the years. Anyway, I had a piece where this person cut all the threads in my work. And there was a time when I had pieces with the threads hanging, because he thought it was very untidy. And it's just that without me realizing that perhaps that's my identity in the work physically, I mean. So I just wanted to say that.
So no one pull out scissors or So I know that they're wrapping up in the back, but I did want to offer at least one person to ask a question if you'd like. Hold on a second. Here. Oh, good.
Garcia,
your question.
They're actually finished.
Oh, okay.
So go ahead and you can wrap it up, and then I'll.
All right, well, I'll wrap it up with your question.
Thank you so much. Was there any quote that actually you changed your perspective on what it meant from your experience with the research and that it influenced you to make a change in the time?
I would have to say most of them did. Because they were submitted to me, I actually didn't know everybody who was submitted. A few of them I did because I'm a collector of quotes myself. In addition to helping myself and to encourage myself and thereby encourage others to the piece, there was also this underlying smattering of pieces that have a very distinct and powerful message. And the encouragement of the quotes actually inspired me to kind of put out more of these messages. There are some very strong feminism pieces in the series. There's some very strong pieces against racism, pieces against socioeconomic inequality, those kinds of things. And that's been a very driving force moving forward. More of my pieces are now more political in that nature because of that.
But was there a change? Like you thought it meant one thing and then your involvement gave you a completely different perspective on it?
Yes. For example, the Frederick Douglass piece that's here is the thing that is worse than rebellion is the thing that causes rebellion. When I would encourage anybody to look up the entire essay that he wrote. It was actually a speech that was later transcribed. It's a fantastic piece, and it really gives a lot of meaning behind to why he was talking about these particular things and all of the different kinds of injustices and reasons to rebel that needed to happen, and how he was fighting against this idea that rebellion is something that is just loud noise and not something that is actually meaningful. So there's a lot of that. Yeah. Read that essay. It's a really good book.
That was a great question, by the way. Both questions were really great. So at this time, we're going to stop and switch our panel of artists. Thank you.